tell you when the we could be live. Could it be a Halloween edition?
It is a Halloween edition of leadership and laughs and pumpkins.
Man, if you are listening to us on the podcast, on the recorded podcast, you're missing Brian holding a carved pumpkin that you want to explain that face? Is that a company logo?
No, that's basically this is a large pumpkin that I hollowed out and then drilled 2 holes into it and put a little smiley face in it, so it looks like it looks like a tiny little emoji, basically on the pumpkin. And so we did that last night with the family. My wife and I, my 2 kids, got together and we carved pumpkin. It's a modern family tradition, and so we posted it on Facebook and we asked everybody to guess who carved which pumpkin.
Yeah.
And everybody got it wrong. No, everybody thought I would have put a lot more effort into my pumpkin.
Yeah, exactly. For you to do that pumpkin with the other ones all decorated, I thought for sure that I didn't think for sure that was you. Do you cook the seeds? Do you cook the seeds?
Every year we cook the seeds.
Okay, and what do you?
This year they all.
That
was
it. Threw it all away.
Actually, you know what? We're gonna grow pumpkins next year, Pete. We're gonna grow pumpkins. We're gonna have our first ever little pumpkin patch.
That is a great idea. We tried to grow watermelons last year, and our watermelon grew about this big. So good luck with that. That's awesome. Hey, our regular watcher Todd wants to know what's up with your dome. What's up with the dome tonight?
Yeah, I didn't put a hat on. How about that? To be honest, that wasn't a choice, as we say in the bigger world. That just sort of happened organically. So,
all right.
Hope it's not too shiny. I do usually wear a hat. It's kind of.
But you made up for it because you got the screen up behind you tonight, so we cannot see what's behind the curtain tonight. So that's good.
Because. All right. Yeah, my daughter, I can't move the computer to show you, but there's a large, like a boxing heavy bag hanging now in my office. And in order to put that up over the last few days, it took, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done as a homeowner, was just putting up this heavy bag. It's got to be all reinforced and everything. And
yes.
And so there's ladders and sawdust and everything in here. So I thought our viewers would much rather see the sheet.
I think both our viewers would appreciate that. So thank you for doing that. I thought you were going to say the hardest thing I ever had to do was purchase it, but when I purchase it, it's hanging it up. So all right, let's get the theme song going. Hang on, everybody. Here we go.
Dude, I love our theme song. I mean, I know that
it makes me feel important.
It's a Homer thing to say. Of course, you would love your own show's theme song, but it's so happy.
We have a theme song. It is so nice. If you are just joining us for the first time tonight, again, thank you for joining us. This is episode 27. Started out as a whim, just a little audio podcast just for fun. And then we figured out we could live stream this bad boy and just have some fun with it. And again, try to make this the best hour of your week. We like to talk about leadership stuff. We like to talk about, we worked at Disney, Brian. We talk about that, but nothing too crazy, nothing too political, nothing too, oh my word, controversial. Let's take an hour and kind of have some fun, learn some things, and try to apply them to our roles as leaders. So how have you been this week as far as your leadership role, buddy?
You know what? It's been a good week. I feel in good spirits. I got some rest. I took a little PTO, as we say in the corporate world. That's personal time off, because working from home during the pandemic didn't take a whole lot of vacation days this year.
Yeah.
So our leader, who is fantastic. She got us all on the phone and said, "Hey guys, you can only roll over so much, so take it now or don't." So, my wife and I took off on Monday and Tuesday, and it was just some good restorative time off.
Let me tell you something. If this were a real show, we we would have talked about this kind of stuff ahead of time and had a discussion, because ironically, our leadership article of the week ties in exactly to what you just talked about. How crazy is that? But we're not going to start with my article. We're going to start with Brian's article. We call this Leading Off with Brian. That's right. Brian has his own theme song. He has his own graphic. We're starting the show with some fun news articles. With my buddy Brian. So get us in the good news, buddy.
Just dancing over here in my chair.
I know. It's fun.
Chair dancing.
Da-da-da.
So, you said some fun news articles, and I think these are. Want to start off, Pete, by talking about lemurs. Everybody loves a good lemur. You may have.
Why not?
I
think I've got a picture of one here as well that I'll put up for you while you're talking about him.
Yeah, show a picture of. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
That's Maki, Maki. Maki. Maki is a 21-year-old ring-tailed lemur who recently had a couple of dramatic days after he was stolen, they believe, from the San Francisco Zoo.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the San Francisco Zoo was stolen and then somehow escaped or was released and spent a few days in San Francisco, taking the time, probably, crossing up the Gate Bridge and, maybe toured Alcatraz, but he's safe now. He's been returned to the zoo because he was eventually found by a 5-year-old little boy. 5-year-old little boy at a church playground. So the California lemur went to church. So he was found in good health and returned to the zoo. 21 years old, and there was a reward that was placed out for Maki, and the police found him nestled nervously near a church playground, just about 10 minutes away from the zoo. So
he needed to be careful about going to Alcatraz because he's already wearing the prison stripes. Thank you.
Right. Well,
thank you. Yeah, can I have a bell, please?
Here. You got a bell.
So here's the deal with all these wild animals that are escaping from a leadership lesson, because we like to tie it back in. Sometimes you hear people who will take them and they'll hold them for ransom, and I've got the one you're looking for if you pay me. So it's nice that a 5-year-old child found it and did the right thing, kind of gave it back.
Absolutely. So if you were tracing, if you were hoping that if you were following the story, Maki is
home. Terry wants to know, how do you steal a lemur? Your smoking hot wife wants to know how you steal a lemur.
Like a setup to a joke, and I'm not sure I have the answer.
All right, well, let's move on to
with a stolen lemur.
Yeah, in fact, my wife's calling you out, going, there's no way that happened. There's no way that a lemur got out, got through the city, got to a church playground, was turned back in.
Yep.
So you were on the wrong website, apparently.
It's very similar to the movie Madagascar.
Those
were zoo animals that went to Madagascar and met the lemurs. Here, it's a lemur that got out in San Francisco. It's probably a sequel.
I am Prince Julian. Prince Julian.
Move it.
You got to move it. All right, moving on. Talk to me about dementia.
Well,
who could ask for a better transition than that?
Speaking of music, Pete, social distancing measures have, we know that they have helped to protect elderly citizens around the world amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. But the lack of social interaction and isolation that they're feeling has actually had a devastating effect on a lot of folks' mental and emotional well-being. And studies show that for seniors, especially, social isolation increases the risk of developing dementia by nearly 50%.
Wow.
So for those who are already experiencing some sort of cognitive decline, it takes an even greater toll.
Yeah.
So knowing that, Carol Rosenstein has developed a nonprofit called Music Men's Minds, and has, along with her husband, Irwin, Irwin has been battling Parkinson's disease and dementia for more than a decade. And recently, after witnessing how playing music helped her husband, she started a band for Irwin and others with these neurodegenerative diseases. And they call themselves, I love this, they call themselves the Fifth Dementia. At least as old as me and Pete to understand that that's a play on a 70s band called the Fifth.
That's beautiful. The Fifth Dementia.
The Fifth Dementia.
Yes.
So she's actually created 20 different bands that have helped improve the quality of life for more than 200 people across the United States. And she believes that their music is as important as ever for their soul and their mind, and to help get through the isolation that COVID-19 has brought us. And I
Listen,
agree.
that's a great story, because again, what are we doing with our spare time? In fact, I saw a story today, Brian, that said something like there was a 110-year-old woman who had dementia and died, but not from COVID. She died recently because she was isolated and sad, and depression kicked in, and kind of all of that. So you're tracking along with some of the national news stories there as well. So from a leadership point of view, again, what can we do right now? We can't just look the other way for these ideas of depression and loneliness and isolation. I love people getting involved and taking charge like that. That's a great story.
Checking up on their employees to make sure that they're doing well, the coping, let's say.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking of coping, let's talk about cows.
Okay. So
did the best I could.
I love cows prefer personal communication. Cows are funny, Pete. And we know that they don't make video calls like the rest of us do.
They don't, unless you're in The Far Side with Gary Larson. But yes, most of the time
but
they
if
don't.
They did, we think they would hate it, just like many of us do. But research has shown that these farm animals prefer to chat face-to-face, as it were. Actually done research. This is Annika Lang that we're looking at here. If you're watching the video podcast, has found that cows are more relaxed after being spoken to directly by a live human rather than when listening to a recorded human voice via a loudspeaker. So she says that their study suggests that a live talking person is just more relaxing for their animals than the recording of a human voice. And interactions with these animals may be less positive when they become artificial. And it's pretty easy to draw the line to the leadership lesson there, isn't it?
So she talks to the cows?
She talks to the cows. That is doctoral student Annika Lang from the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna. She's the author of the study. But, doesn't this kind of this is almost intuitive, isn't it, for leaders that to understand that not only our employees and employees in our organizations, but also our customers prefer live communication.
Let's be clear. The power of the human voice, my friend, is so much better on so many levels. When you're giving coaching, when you're giving feedback, do we do it in an email? Do we do it in this? And going back to your original story, again, I think people who are involved in a lot of research like this are going to find what has this past 8 to 12 months done to us or done to people or, her, because again, the desire to be together and communicate and all of that outweighs just about everything else. So yeah, I like that. Those are good today, buddy. Thank you. Thank you. That fires me up. All right, well, we're going to keep going, buddy, because we have next, I'm going to cover a leadership article of the week. If only we had an intro for that. It's a long wait at the end. You're like, and we're back. All right. I got my readers, buddy. I got my readers for today's leadership article of the week. We're going over the big pond, Brian. We're going all the way over to our friends at the BBC.
Okay.
It's going to cover today's leadership lesson, which again, unfortunately, you and I have not done a good job of communicating ahead of time. And we're going to talk about something called Feierabend. It's German. Feierabend. Feierabend. Let me get my little thing out here and make sure I got this right. Feierabend. I just heard it in my ear. Feierabend. How does Feierabend help Germans disconnect from the workday? So we've got so much research about how Americans and COVID and work-life balance. What's happening with the Germans? That's what we want to find out. Brian, what's the great thing about Germany that you and I have in common?
The great thing that you and I have in common about Germany is that once upon a time, when your smoking hot wife was super pregnant with one of your children, you won tickets to go see the band U2 in Berlin, Germany. And
I won tickets on the radio.
And sadly, Sherry was not able to accompany you. And
couldn't come.
So I hopped on a plane with you and two dorky American goofuses went over to Germany and had ourselves a time.
Good thing there was no World Wide Web and stuff like that back then because, yes, we were the two typical Americans. So let's talk about this thing called Feierabend, which in German, again, let me throw the definitions up here and we'll talk about it as it relates to the American thing. There's two different definitions. One is the moment you stop working. So they say it's the moment you stop working for the rest of the day that gives you a good feeling. But secondly, it is the part of the day between the end of work and going to bed.
Okay.
Between the end of work and going to bed. And here's the whole summary of the article. It said the lines between life and work have never been so blurry. A German word shows us the importance of disconnecting and will help us reclaim some of our free time. Brian, you and I are always talking about how now that we're remote, how the work-life balance has gone a different way. We don't feel as good, and it seems like we're always working and this and that. So again, there's some data here of what they learned about regarding this whole concept. So what they say, this concept of, I had to write it phonetically, Feierabend is linked to a very capitalist mentality that companies get more productivity and more value if their workers are allowed clear periods of rest after work. This gentleman says stress and recovery go hand in hand. It's a bodily rhythm. So you've got to sort of stay in time. So they say this is not like a party. This definition doesn't mean party or happy hour. We're going out all the time. It's truly talking about the original meaning back in the day was when the church bells would ring, marking the end of the agricultural time. You come back in for rest and to read your Bible and to do your evening prayers and all that kind of stuff. And we've sort of lost that, buddy. We've lost it in many countries here in America. But the idea of the work time is over. Because I think today, and feel free to comment if you're watching the show, and again, you have an opinion on this work-life balance thing, throw it in the comments of how you handle work-life balance, how you handle this, because again, we all have different ideas. So here's what they say. They say many Germans would argue that a clean disconnect is needed. So a lot of them believe that you have to put a line in the sand. You have to say from this point forward, there is no more work. This is our Feierabend. This is our Feierabend at the end of the day. So, buddy, where do you lean in that? Is there a hard stop for you as a worker, a leader, a manager, whatever, or are the text always available and the emails always available? What do you have?
I'm always available. I report up, and I have people who report up to me. So I'm always available. It's a little bit of a more American style of working from home. However, having said that, by and large, our team doesn't abuse that. It has happened on occasion where, something is needed on Monday morning and we didn't get it till Friday afternoon. And guess what?
Yeah.
I'll be working on it a little bit over the weekend. But work-life balance is important. Now, for me, I don't have a hard stop as far as like a time goes.
Yeah.
But as the day winds down, once, it's usually I'm more project driven. So for me, it's usually, I'm sending out this last thing. And then my wife and I have what we call happy hour upstairs in the kitchen, getting ready for dinner. We'll have, a little drink of bourbon maybe or something like that, some snacks and apps.
That's your own Feierabend. You are doing your own Feierabend.
And here's where it goes, from a family leadership perspective, after dinner, and Terry, you can comment in if you want, but for us, any stressful subjects that need to be discussed, as husbands and wives do sometimes, needs to be discussed kind of before the end of dinner, and then from dinner on, that's your
Feierabend.
Our Feierabend.
We are
where don't bring up let's not talk about finances. Let's not talk about budgets. Let's not talk about what you did or I did. It's easy time from then on.
Joseph says he would take a full day off sometimes. No phone, no computer, no work at all. His Feierabend is a full 24-hour day. Our buddy Barry says he tries to be available all the time because it makes his next day easier. But the good news is his employees don't abuse it. So that's part of what you said, Brian, is that people don't abuse it. Here's what they say about the concept of work-life balance. Feierabend isn't just a German word for work-life balance. While it's related, work-life balance is a term that can often end up as nebulous in the meaning as the problem it's trying to correct. Instead, the German approach seems to acknowledge that there will always be tension between the work self and the private self. So rather than attempting to reconcile the two, the disconnection that comes with Feierabend establishes boundaries between them. It creates a path between the two states, like dressing for the office and changing after work. And there's like a line in the sand that you do something to sort of define that. So, they're saying you can say work-life balance all you want. You're never going to get it ever. So let's just stop work at this particular time. It's an interesting concept.
It is.
And it sounds good to me. It's just doesn't seem like the American way sometimes. So here's some of the things that they talk about. Let me throw this up there too. They say that Feierabend is more of an ideal for some people on some days than others. In fact, some full-time German employees work a weekly average of 5 hours more than they're supposed to. But they talk about this idea that people need something to replace the shift that's been happening when they commute to and from the office. And I totally agree with that. My commute time, Brian, was my downtime. So it's 25 minutes to my office, 25 minutes home. There's time in that, whether I'm listening to podcasts, whether I'm listening to maybe Bible studies, maybe it's jazz music, maybe it's something. I am truly like, you're driving home. Now there's traffic and all that, but it's a true disconnect from work. Now that we're all working remotely, how do you have the disconnect if the computer's in the same room and this and that and all that? So he gives examples like, if you used to have a commute and you don't have it anymore, go out and ride your bike for 20 minutes and then come back in. Don't wear these work clothes that I have on. I shouldn't go downstairs and have dinner in these and lay around and then go to bed. I should take them off, put on casual clothes, have an actual, something happening to create that Feierabend so that I know I'm not working? Do you do anything at all? Because you work remotely a lot. What do you do to kind of mentally go, I'm no longer, besides Terry telling you we're done, we're done talking about it. What else do you do?
So yeah, for me, it's about, putting the computer to sleep.
Okay.
Right?
That's a big one.
And, and where I work is downstairs in my office is sort of a storage room. So for me, it's about, it's a process, right? Computer goes to sleep, lights go off, and then I leave and go back upstairs and join the family. And that's the way it is now. Now, I didn't say I turned the computer off, just put it to sleep. So if I do need to, jump down there and get back on, it's no big deal. But there's something about that feeling of letting the stress go.
Yeah.
My wife used to, I don't know where she got it from. It was a story at some point that referenced touching the tree. And basically there was a tree in someone's front yard, and at the end of the day they would come home and just touch the tree and just basically give over, whether it was to just give over to God or the universe, or in this case like a physical object, the tree, all the stress of the day, and deep breath, and now I'm going to go and enjoy my Feierabend.
Feierabend. So again, I think this is a great lesson for all of us, Bri, which is, we're all going to struggle with work-life balance over the next, could be another 12 to 18 months. We just don't know. So again, this sort of lesson from the Germans, something as simple as changing clothes, say trousers with the waistband, change to comfortable jogging pants afterwards, switching from being on to being off. And she says, this one gentleman says, the biggest benefit of Feierabend is being in control of your life and making conscious decisions rather than letting life take control over you. So Krystin Arneson, thank you so much. Gave us something to think about, gave us a new word to learn about, and gave us a different cultural view on this whole work-life balance. I think that was pretty enjoyable. If only we could play a game show now to take our mind. This will take our mind off work right here. This is the world famous, one and only leadership statistics game show. Statistics show, this is the most popular statistics game show that is out there. It's the world famous Over and Under, hosted by my buddy, Brian. Give him a round of applause. Let's go. Hey!
That was a good intro there. Thanks, Pete.
Yeah, I love this game, man. In fact, it's the only reason most people are watching us or listening along.
I don't know if you noticed, but I moved my my camera, my online screen, to the other side of the computer, so now it looks sort of like I'm looking at you. Even though
excellent. We're not. Am I looking at you now?
Now you're looking away.
How about now?
Here, now we're looking this way.
This is okay. People who are listening on the pod stream in their cars are like, yeah, we can't see any neurons. Keep going. Get to the game, funny boys.
All righty. So, like Pete said, it's everybody's favorite leadership statistics game show, Over and Under. We encourage all of you to play along. It's time to listen to some research statistics, some timely things that are going on with regard to leadership and corporate life, and you're going to have to decide if the actual answer is over or under the point that I said. So I've got these hidden from Pete. He's hearing these for the first time, so you can play along. All right.
Sherry referencing a Disney animated film song. Everybody look left. Everybody look right. Standing in the spotlight. That was good. Let's go. Listen, I had an all-day training session today doing performance management training for 6 hours. Then I did 2 hours for an organization and spent time with them. So you're getting not the best of me, buddy. You're getting the least of me.
This is the best. Yeah,
All right, let's
we
go.
all had a long day. That's why we like to do this in the evening because
Yeah.
you can all just play along with us, and we'll all
Feierabend.
Feierabend.
Feierabend. Yes.
Right. Pete, 464 business executives recently responded to a global survey from Harvard Business Review Analytics Services,
Harvard.
Harvard,
Harvard.
to see how they perceive frontline workers being empowered in order to make important decisions in the moment. And here on Leadership and Laughs, we've talked several times about, empowering your employees and how that was one of the real Disney differences that, led to their excellent customer service across the board. So we thought we would go ahead and see how that panned out here on Over and Under. So the challenge now is to go ahead and empower our frontline workers in a way that creates both what they call free agency for them and also proper controls for the organization. So this has a little bit to do with empowering your employees to make decisions, but also to give them the technology that they need to do that.
Okay.
So, question number 1, percentage-wise, Pete, how many survey respondents said that they agreed that their organization will be more successful when frontline workers are empowered to make important decisions in the moment? Now, these are executives responding. So, this isn't the frontline workers themselves saying, yes, I need to be more empowered. What is the percentage of survey respondents who said their organization would be more successful when frontline workers are empowered to make important decisions in the moment? Is it over or under 60%?
Okay. I can't tell people enough that we don't talk about this ahead of time. In my mind, you know what number I gave myself? 60%. I said it can't because it's 60%.
You've known each other for a long time, Pete.
Yeah, because I want my employees to be empowered. I want them to do the right thing. But the other half of me as a leader is like, if I give them too much, how much do they mess up? What's it going to cost me? How much training and all that? So while I may say I want it, I'm not sure. But let me tell you, I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to say more. I'm going to go leadership is great. We're buying into this. I'm going to take the over. And keep in mind, if you're playing along at home, if you get 3 in a row correct, you get a Tervis tumbler with the Leadership and Laughs logo right on there, mailed to your home. So I'm excited.
You ordered those?
I thought you ordered those.
Oh, no. Yeah, we don't have any of those.
You get to tell everybody at work tomorrow that you got 3 in a row on Over and Under. Hey, Carrie's a new watcher. We appreciate you. I'm sorry, Kareen. Thank you. She's going to go with the over. Our buddy Joseph is going over. Jack is going. We all believe that leadership want people to be empowered. Same with Barry. On the other hand, my friend, my good buddy James says no. Leadership doesn't want you to be empowered. He's taking the under. My buddy Cedric from Birmingham is taking the under. All right, a little bit. Oh, hold on. And my smoking hot wife is taking Inder. Okay. So I'll pay for that later. Don't put that up. There she goes. Sorry, sweetie. There you go.
There we go.
Under. All right. Lay it on me. Tell me how right I am.
Pete, you know what? You're not usually this right. I'm giving you the bell, buddy. It's over. And it's surprising to me that it's way over. It's 87%.
Okay.
And one of the reasons I brought this research to the show, we were going to do it last week, and then we took a week off. Mm-hmm. Was a good week's worth of Feierabend. But one of the reasons I brought this is for this dramatic. Let me tell you, if I was playing this game instead of doing it, I would have been with James and with Cedric. I would have said under. I'm surprised that 464 business executives said, yes, our organization would be more successful when frontline workers are empowered to make important decisions in the moment.
So why aren't they empowering them? If it's so important to them, why are all of our employees being hamstrung and told to check with me first and don't what you can't have your cake and eat it too? I don't get that.
Well, let's go on to question number 2.
Harvard. It's Harvard.
Question number 2, what is the percentage of these business executives who said frontline workers need better technology-enabled insights to be able to make good decisions in the moment? So, yes, we would be more successful, they said, when frontline workers are empowered to make important decisions. Now, how many said, well, actually, our frontline workers need better technology-enabled insights in order to be able to make good decisions in the moment? Is it over or under 50%?
All right, I'm just a lowly government worker. So you know, when you say things like technology-enabled insights, you know, when I think we come from the world of Disney, which is if someone drops an ice cream cone, you're empowered to replace the ice cream cone with no strings asked. You know, that type of stuff. You're saying these executives are saying, I want my people to be empowered, but they have to have technology-enabled insights in order to make the right decision. What about just making the decision based on right and wrong or what's best for the all right, so I'm going to get this one wrong. I'm going to say because it's a Harvard study and because I'm stereotyping incorrectly, I'm going to say the over. I'm going to say all of them say, yes, they can be empowered if they have technology-empowered insights. So let's see. Barry's taking the over, and he's the only one. Cedric's going under. Let's see. Barry's going under. Carrie's going under. Okay, going under 50%. Awesome. All right. What do you got?
You went over?
I went over.
It is over.
2 minutes, 2 seconds. Be right back. Wow. What do you got?
Actually, 86% of
I'm telling you, I'm a genius.
Said, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head when you said, why can't they just make the decision based on, you know, what's the right thing to do?
Right.
But even Disney had put in certain guidelines in place, right? You know, safety, courtesy, show, efficiency,
right.
In order to help them make those decisions, a mental decision tree. But here, I think it's interesting. Now executives are talking about, you know, becoming more data-driven with these technological insights. Carrie Small, who is, she leads a global commercial and operations for Vodafone. And so she actually said that it's becoming more data-driven has changed dramatically the work and types of people who can do the work. So I think it's interesting that it's not just a data tree based on you know, what's the right thing to do in the moment, but it is they're looking a little bit more for
well, you know,
driven data.
It could be more on the ROI as well. Like, you know, Disney would say this, but we never really reinforced it. If you replace the popcorn that a child spilled, if their balloon goes up and you give them a new one, their return to return ratio goes up by 3.6%. So yes, it cost us $2 to give the extra balloon, but that little moment will make them come back and spend $4,000. So that's all there. I think that's what people are looking for. If I'm going to empower you, I need you to have the data to show that you're making this decision based on financial outcomes, organizational outcomes that's going to help the organization rather than just, oh, it feels like the right thing to do. So I guess I get that. All right, hey, let's do one more.
Let's do one more. Okay, so respondents to this research survey across the board strongly believe we've seen that both work quality and productivity will increase as more data-based insights are made available to frontline workers, okay? So 81%, I'll give you this one, 81% also anticipate some gains in productivity in the short term. What percentage of them expect those short-term gains to be significant?
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
I'm just so stupid sometimes. Here's what I hear you saying, and say it again, and then I will correct myself.
Most respondents anticipate some gains in productivity in the short term.
By empowering their employees, there will be gains in productivity short term.
Yes.
Okay.
But what percentage expect those short-term gains to be significant?
Okay. Got it.
Is it over or under 30%?
See, this is going to be a trick question, and I'm going here, and I shouldn't go here because if this is Price is Right, I'm going to lose, but I'm going under. I'm going to take under. It's a smaller thing, but here's my mindset that 81% believe we can do this. We're going to have great gains, but how many of them are really going to, I don't try. So I'm going to say they're putting on this big show, but that number is going to be under. Let's see what else we got here. Wow, we are just, let's see. My wife says under. Good. A few others say under. Joseph says under. Anybody else type on along, play with it? Oh, I'm sorry, Barry. I was using your old one. Barry's taking the over. Barry's saying more than 30%. Okay. All right. I like James. Thank you for joining us tonight, James. He is taking the over as well. He's probably trying to go 3 for 3 also. Let's go, buddy. What do you got?
Pete, for the first time that I can remember, you're 3 for 3. It is, in fact, under. And it was a trick question. I said it at 30. It was 27%.
Yes.
And I think I completely agree with your take on this that, oh, yeah, we need that, but it's not going to be that significant.
It's just a show pony. We're just saying all this stuff and doing all this stuff, but we don't believe it. We don't believe in it. That drives me nuts. Either you're for it or you're against. If you think empowerment's going to work, empower them. It's yeah. So what did we learn from this, Brian?
We learned that you went 3. A lot of companies, I think, are going to be forced to redesign or override their existing organizational structures.
Amen.
To push data and insight to giving. I'm picturing like a call center, right? And somebody who's talking on the phone will have something up on their computer screen that will give them some what we call free agency to be able to make a decision in the moment and
give them the analytics, give them the data, all that. And so we're losing critical thinking. We're losing the human touch. We're losing the personalization. But I get it because of COVID. I get the way that business is being restructured and money is very important and kind of all that stuff. Absolutely. Barry, you nailed it. I trust my associates more than those Harvard guys. Yeah. We just trust. I was going to say trust and verify, but we're not going to do that. Brian, that was awesome, man. If only we had one more segment, that would be probably. Brian, what could this be? What segment could this possibly be?
Oh man, this just takes me back. Look at it. It's like we're gonna go. Let's go grab some popcorn and watch a parade, and we're not gonna wear masks.
It's time for the Daily Disney, man. This is where me and my buddy Brian spend some time sharing a couple lessons from an article, from a story. Who knows? And I really can't stop it. There you go. I couldn't find the button to stop it. So, all right, buddy, we're gonna talk about playing nice in the sandbox today. There is so much happening in the Disney organization right now. Again, those of you who are joining us for the first time, I worked there for 13 years. Brian, I think almost 15 or more. We spent a lot of time there. We follow the organization. They sort of molded us and guided us as far as customer service, leadership, things like that. So we like to take a segment. And when we first started doing this, we didn't do a whole lot of current events around Disney. It was all about Disney customer service and Disney guest service and Disney leadership strategies and sharing some nuggets along the way. Well, the past 3 or 4 weeks we've been doing this, there's been so much happening in the news around Disney. We're kind of just tracking with them, right, buddy? And figuring out kind of what they're doing and kind of almost taking the ride with them. As a lot of you know, 28,000 people have been laid off. A lot of them will be gone from the theme parks and resorts. There's a restructuring going on. There's a rumor that Disney wants to get rid of ESPN and fold it into something else. Disney Plus is becoming big. But the big story right now is the theme parks.
Yeah.
Is the theme parks. And so
yesterday.
What's that?
Big layoffs yesterday.
Big layoffs yesterday, especially in the entertainment division. For those of you that are Disney fans and are frequent Disney visitors, most of the entertainment people from the Festival of the Lion King show at Disney's Animal Kingdom and the Finding Nemo, the musical. If you like Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor with Mike and Sly, those entertainers were left to go. A lot of the Streetmosphere people on Hollywood Studios. You're going to see fewer and fewer live entertainment over the next year because that's a heavy cost. I mean, salaries and benefits, and these are high-paid people to do high-quality shows. And at the end of the day, I can put you on Pirates in Small World, and you'll still have a good time. So I don't like it, but I get it. But here's the big issue today, Brian, is Disneyland. Name for me the only Disney theme park that is yet to open, buddy, across the world.
That's Disneyland in California, Pete.
Walt's Original Disneyland has not opened. So Ken Patrak, who's the president of Disneyland Resort, you see a picture of him there, as well as the CEO, and Bob Iger's played a little bit, and the other Bob has played a little bit as well. And remember when it was Michael, and you can remember that a lot better. But here's the statement, Brian. So let's take this out for a spin. Here's what happened. They've come out to play a little bit of hardball and said, hey, we've proven that we can responsibly reopen with science-based health and safety protocols that are strictly enforced at our theme park properties around the world. Nevertheless, the state of California continues to ignore this fact, instead mandating arbitrary guidelines that it knows are unworkable and that hold us to a standard vastly different from other reopened businesses and state-operated facilities. Together with our labor unions, we want to get people back to work, but these state guidelines will keep us shuttered for the foreseeable future, forcing thousands more people out of work and leading to the inevitable closure of small family-owned businesses and irreparably devastating the Anaheim, Southern California community. Basically, no longer, hey, can you work with us? Hey, you know we're really struggling. Hey, what can you do? And just saying, you are sticking it to us, and this is wrong and all that. So we're calling this segment Playing Nice in the Sandbox because, again, when do you as a leader have to put your foot in the ground and say kind of enough is enough? Here's a couple pictures, Brian. This is my picture from Walt Disney World. Again, when I went, they're doing everything around social distancing and physical barriers. Here's a picture of Tokyo Disneyland, and these people love queue lines. People over in Tokyo, they don't even need to put stanchions up. Just some white cones and some markers, and everybody knows where to go. Here's Shanghai Disneyland. So again, during shows and parades, we're wearing masks. So every park is open. Every park is doing it right. And for some reason, Walt's Original Park, California, and so Disneyland has finally come out and said, we've tried to work with you, and now you're just ticking us off. Good strategy or bad strategy? And again, there's no right or wrong answer. What's your take?
Only strategy that they have at this point.
Yeah.
There's really not a whole lot they can do. And my understanding is that parts of Disneyland, the parts like downtown Disney in California is open.
It is. It is open. And believe it or not, this is a shopping village that has up to a 90-minute wait for people to get into the shopping village. And then once you're in there, the World of Disney shop and the ice cream shop and all those have 20 to 30 minute waits to get it. So again, it's not even it's a shopping Disney experience, and people are still waiting to get in, and they've proven that they can operate that safely.
And I don't know I don't know if this is one of those, like, if we let you do it, we're going to have to let everybody do it, and not everybody's going to do it as well. That kind of thing. I don't know if it's. I haven't really been following the state of California's argument on that, but it's like I said, it's kind of the only option that they've got left. And whether it's a good idea or a bad idea, that has to be probably measured each time that you make a decision like that, whether you're going to stick your foot in the ground and speak up and speak your mind. And, some of that has to, it's the same way in your organization. I mean, you have to sort of make a decision. If I speak up in this meeting and dig my heels in and say, no, we are going to do it my way,
what's going to happen? Well, guess who else just dug their heels in yesterday? The governor, Gavin Newsom, came out with a press conference as the theme park operators pleaded for the state to allow the parks to reopen with coronavirus restrictions and precautions. He gave them a firm answer: no. His quote was, "We as a state are going to be driven by data and science, and we are going to be driven by public health first." Again, it's the inconsistency, because they are allowing people to go to some pro football games. They're doing all that. They're just having a hard time around the theme parks. And again, listen, you and I are both for safety. We get that. That's not the lesson today. The lesson today, the leadership lesson, is not should Disneyland open or not. Our discussion point is, when you get into a so-and-so contest, whatever the unofficial word is, with somebody else, and two executives are going, you've got to be ready for the possible repercussions and possible things that come with that. So again, there's a time to play nice in the sandbox, but there's also a time to put your foot down and say, as a leader, I'm going to be bold, I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to stand up for my people.
Flame on!
So absolutely. So that's kind of our lesson for today is, you can't always be a pushover. You can't always be too bold, and you're going to learn this through making mistakes, but we'll see what happens. We're going to follow this and see, again, how many of these things were, well, I was going to work with them, but now that they said that, now I'm definitely saying no. How much of ego and stuff like that gets involved versus working for the betterment of an organization or kind of things like that. So again, leadership skills, critical thinking skills, emotional intelligence, Brian, these all play a huge part in leadership, in politics, and office politics. And it's a skill we all need to learn.
Yeah. And, we talk about, we talk at the beginning of all of our shows that, we're not going to try to bring, political divisions with,
right
to this, but the truth is, office politics, country politics aside, office politics is a real thing.
No doubt.
And, you'd be awfully foolish to not understand that, actions have consequences. Sometimes they can be positive consequences. You could dig your heels in and say, we have proven that, we can do X, Y, and Z. And, the executives will say, all right, we'll give you an opportunity to try that.
You're 100% correct. And that's a great.
No.
What's that? Yeah.
The answer is no. I've got that answer plenty of times.
I can't be any more clear that the answer is absolutely no. What do you think about tonight's show, buddy?
It's a fun show, Pete. I enjoyed hanging out with you this week.
Can you hear the music this time?
Yeah, I can hear the music. It makes my pumpkin happy.
So we covered a lot of stuff. We covered 3 happy stories. We did lemurs. We did dementia. We did cows. We did Harvard. We did the BBC and Feierabend. Firebrand. And we finished up with Disney. It's been an absolutely great show. Thanks everybody for paying attention. If you're listening on our podcast, we appreciate you. Thanks for streaming us and listening on our streaming shows. Thanks for watching us on LinkedIn Live or Facebook Live. Next week, buddy, want to do it again?
Let's do it again next week. And someday we're going to take this global. We're going to be all over the world, and our best buddies on here, our listeners and participants, they're going to be We Knew You When.
We'll be like Paul Feinbaum when he was just in Birmingham and now he's national on ESPN. Yeah, the Paul Feinbaum show. So, hey, everybody, Brian, leave them with your words of wisdom, which I love.
Hey, guys, get out there this week and try to make the world a better place. Put some enjoyment into the world and some love. We love you guys. Thank you for being on with us. Pete, I love you and your family, and I hope everybody has a great week.
Love you too, buddy. See you all. Have a great week. See you next Wednesday.